Thank you. As the new minority leader of the Nassau County Legislature, I am proud to deliver the Democratic response. The national recession has affected us all. It's taken a toll on our economy, our jobs, our families. The policies and mismanagement by the Mangano administration have hampered our ability to recover and rise again from the depths of this recession. Nassau was once a strong and proud county that stood as a shining example that other governments sought to emulate. Now, as the New York Times has reported, earlier this week, counties right here in New York State are using Nassau County and this county executive's financial practices as an example of what we won't become. To restore normalcy to our government's finances and to know what not to do, we only need to look at the current administration's level of borrowing, which is reckless, out of control, and flat out inappropriate. In order to balance the budget, Mr. Mangano plans to ask this legislature for the approval to swipe the county credit card to the tune of $450 million. By constantly relying on borrowing as his first resort, Mr. Mangano is not addressing the urgent underlying financial problems that plague us. Instead, he is ensuring that our children and our children's children will be paying off our debt with no end in sight. All of us who have managed our household finances know that eventually the credit card bill comes due. It's a fact that you understand this, which is part on why you, the people, resoundingly voted down Mr. Mangano's proposal last summer to borrow $400 million to build a new Coliseum with taxpayer money. In last year's State of the County address, Mr. Mangano said that he and the Republican legislature, quote, advance the reforms that will end the practice of borrowing to pay tax refunds. Now, just 1 year later, we were asked to borrow $102 million to pay these tax refunds. Meanwhile, there's already $14 million left in the bank that could be used right now to pay homeowners the money they are rightfully owed. If the current administration were more fiscally responsible, we wouldn't have been forced to vote on a resolution that could threaten the public safety of our residents. Unfortunately, earlier this month, after ignoring the concerns of the police, the public, and my Democratic colleagues, the Republican majority rubber-stamped the county executive's plan to close half the police precincts in Nassau and drastically alter the way in which we protect our residents. Not only did we feel this vote was rushed and completely illogical, but few details were provided prior to the vote, and negotiations were still ongoing as every member of the Republican majority voted in favor of closing the precincts. Additionally, no assurances were put in writing to prevent County Executive Mangano or any future county executive from further slashing the number of patrol cars in our neighborhoods, or eventually closing the new policing centers. Without those assurances, every Republican legislature effectively voted to lay off police officers and decrease the presence on our streets. At a time when crime is on the rise in our communities, we should be keeping police, not firing them. Another example of the Mangano administration's mismanagement is their determination to privatize our sewage system. Private companies drive up prices and only do the minimum required upkeep in order to maximize their profits. If Mr. Mangano is successful in selling our sewage plants to a private company, you will pay more via the toilet tax each time you flush. We will fight that. Ed Mangano constantly gets his math wrong. He asks to borrow tens of millions of dollars one day, and then he readjusts his amount and wants to borrow several times. He did it in 2010, he did it in 2011, and he's doing it again right now. He claims his proposals will save millions of dollars just to come up short time and time again. There is a new math in Nassau County, and it's called Mangano math, and it doesn't add up. More alarmingly, it's just plain wrong. It's not bad enough that we have Mangano math. We also have a county executive whose administration costs us more money. He has filed several lawsuits that have been proven to have no merit and consequently, he has lost each one of them. But you, the taxpayer, have been rung up to the bills of $10 million so that his connected law firms have pushed wasteful lawsuits. It is inconceivable that we have a county executive who continually gets it wrong, who doesn't have the answers to the basic questions, who pushes ideas without detailed plans, who says something on one day and does something different the next, who has proven time and time again we cannot trust his word or that he really understands or even cares about the intricacies of running the very government that he leads. I know Ed Mangano. I've served with him for 8 years in the legislature before he became county executive. I've always found him to be a nice guy, and I've extended my hand to him to work in a bipartisan fashion to solve our county's problems, but the fact is, he doesn't have a plan. John F. Kennedy once stated, efforts and courage are not enough without purpose and direction. The Democrats in the legislature know their purpose: to continue being the checks and the balances, which is the very heart of our government. And in doing so, we will provide the right direction in which our county should be headed towards complete recovery and a solid fiscal stability. Today, I say to you, in order to revitalize Nassau County, we need to stop the borrowing, stop the flip-flopping, and together craft a comprehensive plan that puts the residents' interests first. Thank you, and good night.